I really thought staining this fence was going to be bad. And no lie, it was a lot of work, but when you know somebody with a paint sprayer, it gets a whole lot easier. So here's the sprayer that I was able to borrow, and I'm not going to lie to you, I really don't know very much about these paint sprayers, other than this one was awesome. It's made by Graco, and it comes from their professional line of sprayers, and you could really tell when you were using this thing. It had a whole lot of line pressure, it sprayed out this material really well, and you can tell that I'm using that bare solid wood stain, so it worked great for that. The other nice thing about it was it accepted 5-gallon buckets of material, so you really didn't have to refill it that often. And the other thing was it had about a 50-foot hose or more, so you didn't really ever need to move the sprayer. After testing out the sprayer on the backside of my fence where nobody would see it, and when I was comfortable with things, I started in the back corner of my fence. The first thing that I did was grab a bunch of old cardboard pieces, and I put these down underneath the fence so that I didn't have so much overspray on the grass. I even took one piece and cut out a 4x4 section so that it would wrap around the post and help keep a bunch of stain from getting on the concrete that was around the posts. You can see as I start staining, I'm doing okay, but I'm no professional painter, stainer, sprayer by any means. Going slow, trying to make sure that I'm spraying at the right angle to get the stain in all the places that we need. With these shadowbox fences, there's a ton of little pockets and cavities, and that's the one reason that the paint sprayer makes this so much nicer. So you can see that I'm starting at the top and working my way down. I'm spraying down so that I'm hitting the top of the 2x4s, then I'm bending down and spraying up so I'm getting the underside of the 2x4s, and each board I actually spray 3 times. I spray it from the left, getting inside of the one cavity, spraying it to the right, getting in the other side of the cavity, and then I come back at the end and do a finish coat across the face or the surface of each board. And then inevitably I have to come back again and get all the little spots maybe that I missed or need touched up. After I finished the first section, I realized that the 2x4s don't absorb the stain as well as the pickets do, so I had some runs. So I came back with a mini roller and just tried to smooth that out or spread that stain out a little bit better. I'll be honest, after about a section or two, I stopped using the roller because I got a little bit better with the sprayer and I wasn't putting so much on in those areas. So this is something that you can do, but once you get good with the sprayer, I don't think you necessarily have to. From there, really, it was just repeating the process. And every section that I did, I got a little bit better and kind of got into a rhythm. The only thing that really slows you down once you get staining is stopping to move the cardboard. Other than that, you can just keep going. The sprayer has 5-gallon buckets, so you really don't run out of stain very often. And like I said, I think the hose was over 50 feet long, so you could do quite a few sections without moving the sprayer or stopping. Then by far the worst thing to stain was the gate. Not only did all the hardware have to be taped off and everything like that, but because that has the cross brace going through it, it added all kinds of other different little cavities that you had to try to spray into, so you had to take your time and spray at different angles. But hey, it was so much better than using a brush that I really can't complain that much, and it stained just like the rest of the fence. It just took a little bit more time. Once I did as much as I could on the inside without moving the sprayer, I threw the hose over the fence and started on the outside. To me, moving the sprayer less made things so much easier and a whole lot faster. Alright, so hopefully this view shows you kind of why I was worried about staining this fence. A shadowbox fence has boards that overlap, and so you get these cavities that are hard to get to. And if you watched my first video, you saw that I put these boards even closer together or had them overlap more than a normal shadowbox fence. And I thought this was going to be really hard to stain, especially if you're trying to get a brush or a roller back there. But you can see with the sprayer that it sprays back in there. And I'll be honest with you, this isn't my best spraying technique. I got better as I went. I was probably getting tired, and holding a GoPro on here isn't the easiest thing to do in the world. But you can see how I have to spray every single board 3 times from different angles so that you're getting coverage on the top of the 2x4, on the bottom of the 2x4, and you're getting it into those crevices, and you're spraying the front of the board so that it looks good at the end. Then on the front side of the fence, I had an old section near the house that blended into the new sections that I built. For that, I just put up cardboard against the house and then a sheet behind the fence so that when I did my quick coat over the old fence to blend it in, I wasn't getting any stain on the house or on the shed behind it. And then I just continued the same process that I've been doing. After I had the first coat done and looking at the fence a day or two later, I could start to see some places that were lighter than others. And that might have just been places that I missed or where the wood was really drawing that stain in and they were lightening up. So I knew I needed to get a second coat on there. I didn't have time to put a full second coat on the inside, but I did get a quick second coat on the outside. This coat wasn't as detailed. I went a whole lot faster. But I did make sure that I covered all those light areas. Next year, I'll get a second coat on the inside and probably even a third coat on the outside. All right, so that was the first coat of stain on the fence, and that's all I'm doing for this year. That was over 200 feet of fence, which ended up feeling like 400 feet because you had to do the inside and the outside. I'll be honest with you, I thought this was going to be an absolutely terrible process because I did decide to build the shadowbox fence with the boards that overlap each other. And the reason that I thought it was going to be so terrible was because I put the boards closer together than most people did, so it's harder to get in at the angles where those boards are overlapping on either side. If I would have did this with a brush, it would have been, I think, terrible and crazy time consuming. But lucky for me, I knew a friend that owns a painting company, so they lent me the Graco sprayer, which was awesome. I can't say enough nice things about this. I'm not using this video to do a paint sprayer review, but if you need a paint sprayer or you need to do a large project like this, or you're going to do a lot of painting, it might be in your best interest to look into buying something like this. This thing was phenomenal. I actually, instead of borrowing this from him, I really want to think about investing on one of these in my own. At any rate, the project went really well, and I was really happy with the sprayer. I did go with a solid color wood stain. The fence was built out of pressure-treated pine, so some of the boards weren't the most attractive things to look at. They had a lot of knots in them. As wood prices went up, we decided to go with pine instead of cedar because of the price difference. This solid wood color stain covered up all the knots, all the imperfections, and it looks really good, I'll be honest. Like I alluded to earlier, this was still a lot of work. I mean, it was 400 feet of staining, and every single board you had to go over at least like 4 times. On the inside, you were spraying at one angle and then another angle, and then you ended up having to go over that board again flat or straight up and down, and then you were staining it again on the other side. So every single board that you did on here, you did 4 times, and I think I used like 600 some pickets in this fence. So if you add that up, that is a lot of staining. That's a lot of standing up, squatting down, moving your arm around. So it was a lot of work, I'll be honest. But I couldn't imagine doing it without the sprayer. That saved me a lot of time. And once I kind of got into a rhythm or figured out what I was doing, because I'm no, professional painter, I was able to do one side of an 8-foot section in about 4 minutes. And yeah, after that 4 minutes, that was just start to finish. Then I had to come back up and touch up a few places. And I still have a few places that I need to go back and touch up, but I'm just gonna hit those with a brush as they appear. Because like I said before, that stain is being sucked into the wood, so it's lightening up in some places, and I'm just going to hit that with a brush and get the sprayer back to my buddy. I think this is something that anybody could do. I definitely, if you do build a shadow box fence, or even if you have a lot of fence to stain, I would definitely go somewhere and rent a sprayer, or even possibly thinking about investing in one. This is a great option, and it definitely saved me on this project. So if you enjoyed seeing the fence getting stained, I encourage you to hit the like button. If you like kind of the projects I'm doing here and the direction I'm going, I encourage you to subscribe. But other than that, I hope to see you guys in another video.